Today we're going to be talking about fear and how the church manipulates people through it. So, before we address that, I'd like to address this first. To make it clear for everybody, we are not Satanists. Entropy has his own beliefs on certain things, and for me, I am a Gnostic Luciferian, so I am not a Satanist. So even if you see my name Lucifera, it does not mean Satan. I am not associated with Satanism whatsoever. I have my own spiritual beliefs.
Neither one of us regards Satanism as anything short of just the flip side of Christianity. Basically, this deity, which we believe this deity exists, but by the way, we're not atheists either. I'm getting tired of explaining the same thing over and over and over again, but people don't seem to understand. Lucifer is not Satan. Lucifer is not Satan. Lucifera uses the name Lucifer. She might as well just be calling herself light. It's just the same thing to her, to me. That's basically what she's saying. It's not necessarily an entity. It could be, but not necessarily one. She looks at it as just the light bringer, the Lucifer consciousness. But speaking of Satanism, Satanism and Satan, the way we both look at Satan is that Satan is just another aspect of the God Jehovah Yahweh. It's just the flip side. It's two sides of the same coin. So Satan is Yahweh. So we don't worship him. Certainly. So we're not going to be worshiping Satan. And you know what? The thing is, the dumbest people I've ever met are Satanists. I mean, usually Satanists are like teenagers. It's ridiculous to see anybody grow older and continue to talk about Satanism as though it's a real thing and something that they're interested in. It's a joke. Quite frankly, teenagers are Satanists until they, grow up. And that's what I would have to say to anybody who is a Satanist. Grow up. We're not Satanists, okay? Let's get that clear.
Hopefully we got that through to you guys this time.
Well, I know we're going to have to keep saying it over and over again. But anyway, well, let's get back to the topic at hand.
Before we get into this, I would like to mention the Bible. Now, we do not take the Bible literally. As for me, I do not believe in the Bible whatsoever, but we are using it to show the hypocrisies in Christianity and the church.
I'm not going to go so far as to say that I don't believe in anything in the Bible. I believe that there's a lot of good in it. As I have said to you many times, Lucifera, I think that the Bible is sort of a poison that is mixed with sugar. You can find the sugar in it, but it is generally, I would. It would be better if we would just throw the whole thing out. However, I do reference the Bible sometimes when we have, Lucy, we have referenced the Bible at times when it is in our benefit to do so, such as earlier when we referenced that Jesus was a poor man. But yes, generally speaking, I agree. The Bible is full of a lot of fairy tale stories. The reason why that we discuss these stories is, one, we want those who are Christians to to get involved and to be able to see things from that perspective. And also because the stories there display this entity, Jehovah, as we are trying to display him. I think that there's a lot of people who wrote the Bible who are trying to get us to understand that this Jehovah is a slave master, that he is a entity that is not worthy of worship. So you can find that, you read between the lines in much of the Bible and the stories, and you will see that for yourself. But getting back to the topic, let's talk about fear. Fear is a very strong weapon. It's a weapon that is keeping most people, I believe, in the Christian church. It is commonplace for a Christian to respond to you and say, "What if you're wrong?" This is the only reason why 90%, at least, of the people who are in the Christian church are Christians, is because they fear the idea of this entity, Jehovah, casting them into this everlasting hell. There are so many people in those churches because they fear hell. A lot of them, most of them, are there. It has nothing to do with this desire to be in heaven, but this desire not to be in hell. This, of course, is not a new thing. The church has been doing this for some time. It's been doing it a lot worse. People think of the Inquisition, and usually they talk about the Spanish Inquisition. Well, it's been going on for a lot. It went on for a lot sooner than that, a lot earlier than that, and it went on for a lot longer than that. I'll give you some dates towards the end of this presentation here. The church only interest and Christians' only interest is to continue to keep people in fear so that they will continue to worship this entity that is totally against anything that we should stand for. Let me mention that very often we talk about light and darkness, and light and darkness is not exactly the best way to present this. You have people who are materialist and who are sensualist, people who are interested only in those things of the flesh and those things of this world. And then you have people who are interested in those things of the spirit. And that's the difference, really. This whole light and darkness is sort of not, it doesn't describe it quite as well, because we have to have darkness with light. And people justify what they do sometimes by saying that they are dark, and therefore that's okay because you have to have darkness with light. Well, that's fine. I'm not even speaking against that. What I am speaking against is people who are materialist, people who only want things of this world.
Actually, if you look at the church, you'll see that they're really into materialism. I mean, just look at the cathedrals and look how nice they are. Look at the clothing that the priests wear.
It's nothing new either.
It's nothing new, no.
I have references, and I may not even get into them in any of these videos, but of course the main purpose of the church has been to make money for the people who work there. The bishops and the cardinals and even the lowly priest made a lot of money by doing what they did at that time, and they continue to. It doesn't matter what they are, Catholic, Protestant, doesn't matter. So it's all about money. And if you are a materialist and you're only worried about the things of this world, then you are against the Spirit. You're against what is essential about what we really should be here, which is working towards the Spirit. We mentioned Satanism before. Satanists are materialists. They only care about things of this world, and that's fine for them. But the thing is, that all that's going to lead to for them is to continue in this world and to be reincarnated in this world. But I digress. As far as the fear is concerned, let's get back to the topic. The Inquisition, which went on for a very long time, long before the Spanish Inquisition of the 16th century. A statement here about the Inquisition. Here I have the quote. A quote from one of the Church Fathers is, "We must remember the main purpose of the trial and execution is not to save the soul of the accused, but to achieve the public good and to put fear into others." It would almost be as though you could sort of forgive a little bit of what they did if they actually believed that the idea of this torture and murder that they went through was in order to save somebody's soul. But right here in this quote, you have the truth. They had no intention of saving people's soul. They were only trying to make people afraid of the church. And it's not as though anything that the church did was contrary to the Bible. It wasn't. That's what really gets to me sometimes, is that people say, well, I abide by the Bible, not by the church. Well, folks, the church was established on a foundation of what is said in the Bible. So you cannot divorce the two. Let's go to the Bible here. "The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules of the Lord are true and righteous altogether." Well, it is throughout the Bible that you are supposed to fear this God. Let me ask you a question, Lucy. Do you fear Jehovah?
No, I do not.
I don't fear him. The only time that you can truly get beyond this is when you stop fearing him. There's a lot of people out there. And there's a lot of people out there doing what they think is wrong and against the church and against God. Even Satanists, who in their mind believe that one day they're going to turn around and they're going to repent of all that they've done, and then they're going to go to heaven. You still have the fear of God inside of you. You still have that fear. That's the reason why people die and have these near-death experiences, atheists, and they have experiences of hell, because they still have that fear in their heart and in their mind. Whatever it is that you have in your heart and your mind, you will realize when you die. You have to let go of that fear. You have to, in order to expand your horizons and in order to understand something. What are we, Lucy? What are we?
We are gods and goddesses.
We are gods. We are part of the Godhead. That's who we are. You have to come to a realization of that and not be afraid of it. And fear has many different passages, many different ways. And you can be afraid, and because you're afraid, you do things like Satanism. You do things like you think you're going against Jehovah when you're not, because the fact of the matter is, whether you serve Jehovah as a Christian or whether you serve Jehovah as a Satanist, you are still serving the same master.
I would like to say something too. A lot of the Christians are really afraid of you are gods, basically. And I mean, I talk a lot about this in my writings and even in my videos. You are gods and goddesses. You are light bearers. You are so much more than you know. There's nothing to be afraid of. So when these people come to you and tell you to fear Jehovah and you are not gods, don't believe that. You are so much more.
It is part of what they are trying to do is to press us down and to make us afraid of who we are. Don't let them do that to you. Don't let them do that to you. That is why we say that we are shining our light here. Okay? This isn't just about us condemning the church. It's not. We are trying to get people to see who they truly are.
Sometimes the truth hurts too.
Yeah. Sometimes the truth hurts. Absolutely. Getting back to some of the quotations here. Pope Innocent III declared that anyone who attempted to construe a personal view of God which conflicted with the church dogma must be burned without pity. All of these verses, all of these quotations are to be taken in the context of the only purpose behind them is to strew fear into people's hearts. People are so afraid back then. You know what strikes me is that we're basically told that we're supposed to be afraid of doing this now. Now that Lucy and I are supposed to not do this because we're supposed to be afraid of doing this now. I mean, come on. What's the worst that's going to happen to us now? A few people don't like us and don't talk to us? Back in the day, back when this torture and murder was going on, they still had people who spoke up against the church. Real people with real bravery, not the cowards you see today. Pope Innocent III had explained that God punished children for the sins of their parents. So unless children had come forth spontaneously to denounce their parents, they were left penniless. Inquisitors even accused the dead of heresy. Sometimes as much as 70 years after their death, they exhumed and burned the alleged heretics' bones, and then they confiscated all property from the heirs. And here in this quote we have some dates so that you have some idea of how long this went on. Torture remained a legal option for the church from 1252, when it was sanctioned by Pope Innocent III, here we got him again, until 1917, when the new Codex Juris Canonici was put into effect. Here I have this next quote. Sort of, it's not as much as fear as I want people to see that the idea that the Muslims and the Jews have been at each other's throats. That this is a new idea. It's only been the last 100 years or so that they've been like this. By 1492, the Inquisition in Spain had become so virulent in its persecution of the Jews that it demanded either their conversion to Christianity or their expulsion. Muslim experienced little better. Not surprisingly, Islamic countries offered far safer sanctuaries to escaping Jews than Christian lands. So the idea that the Jews and the Muslims have been at it, let me tell you something. Christians have killed a heck of a lot more Jews than Muslims have. They have killed Jews, they have killed Muslims. In our next video, I'm going to go more into detail about that and talking about the genocide of the Christian Church. That's what we're going to be calling the next one, is just simply genocide. And yeah, it's nothing new. I'm sure that you've heard it before, but I bet you haven't heard these numbers. These numbers are staggering. We'll get more into it later, but it's funny how people talk about the Nazis and how many Jews they killed. In comparison to the Christian Church, The Nazis were amateurs. And again, let's get back to this just so you have another date, so you understand just how long this went on. Again, here another quote: "The Inquisition spanned centuries and was still active in some places as late as 1834. Now, I want to say a few things at the end of this video. First of all, I want to talk to those people out there who understand what we're saying, who have the compassion and the love in their heart to know who the Holy Spirit is, who feel her presence. I want you to understand that even in your darkest hour, she is with you. I know that many of you have problems with the Christians. Many of you have the guts to go against the Christian church directly and not just talk about it to your friends. And when it happens, you feel despair. Don't. Understand that this is a spiritual process, that this is a spiritual fight. The Holy Spirit is with you. Call upon her name. Her name in Greek is Sophia. When you need her, she will be there to comfort you. And for those of you out there who have been against us from the very beginning, against Lucy and I, and against what we stand for and what we do, I'm going to make this perfectly clear to you. Perfectly clear. You have sown in the wind, and you are about to reap the whirlwind. Don't be a fool. This is Entropy 666.
This is Lucifera Morningstar. Until next time.
Goodbye.